A little backstory is needed, so please bear with me. Growing up, I, 27F, had a childhood friend, Angie, 27F, who was as close as a real sister. We spent entire weekends at each other's places, celebrated family events, etc., from age 6 until 18. I even lived at her place in second grade while my parents went through a nasty divorce. I learned to speak some Russian, as she is Russian, and she learned to speak some Spanish. Needless to say, her older brother and little sister were like family to me. During our teenage years, she had 2 male best friends, one of whom she started dating, and another one, Nico, now 29M, who was also Russian, whom I started dating at 17. Growing up, I had issues with a heart condition. I won't bore you with the details, but I had to take a lot of meds. I started getting healthier from age 16. I didn't have to take them daily, only when my heart rate became irregular, at which point I had to take them immediately, as it would become extremely painful, my heart would cramp, and I would start to hyperventilate. All my friends knew this, Nico included, and knew that I would black out if my meds were taken with alcohol. I didn't smoke or drink much growing up as a result, since I was worried about my health and only drank at home or in a safe setting. The legal drinking age is 16 here, and I only drank wine or beer, if at all. I had my first time with Nico at 17, and when my parents stayed at a retreat 2 weeks later, he came over for a date night. I did drink 1 glass of wine, but later started having health issues, which resulted in me taking my meds and becoming unconscious. I was a bit sore the next morning but didn't think much of it. 2 weeks later, I informed Nico that I was late on my period, and he started to panic, confessing that he had intimacy with me while I was unconscious. We had done it before, so he didn't think much about it. Apparently, he didn't have a condom, but since I was on the pill, he figured it was all right, and he also didn't finish inside but in a tissue. I felt violated and disgusted with myself. I didn't know how to describe this and only told Angie about it. I was an utter mess for a few years and wasn't able to have intimacy again until 2 years later. I didn't remember any of it, but I was too ashamed to go to my mom or anyone else. I didn't think of it as great back then. I was too young to really understand what and how I was violated, and Angie told me it's all right, saying I should break up if I feel bad about it, but we were in a relationship and did have intimacy before. I broke up with him the following day, and apparently he cried about his broken heart to her. As Nico and Angie were close and spent a lot of time together, they started dating a few months later, and I had to see him every time I visited her. I told her I wasn't able to see him, but she didn't understand where I was coming from. The contact stopped, and we haven't texted or seen each other in years. I still followed her and her family and saw that her brother is expecting his first child. As I was extremely close with her family, I commented on the Instagram post, expressing my gratitude when he reached out to me. I missed his wedding, but he asked if I would be interested in joining the baby shower since it's been years and we were extremely close before. He told me I was like a third little sister. I just asked if Nico would be attending as well, since Angie and he have been dating for 9 years now, and he said yes. I didn't elaborate much, but I just expressed that I'd send a small present if he could give me his current address, but I wouldn't be attending. He kept pestering me about what exactly happened all those years ago and why I'm no longer in their lives. Angie told her family I wasn't able to see her with an ex of mine, but her brother thought there was more to it. So, I told him the truth about what happened back then. While I didn't know it at 17, I now know that it was grape, and I named it as such. I didn't receive any message back from him, but a few days later, Angie reached out to me, curious. Nico had planned to propose during the baby shower, but Angie's brother is now against it, having learned why I stopped contact. She loves Nico and will stay with him, but by doing so, her brother said she is no longer a part of his life, as he doesn't want his little baby girl in the same family as a grapist. Since then, I've been receiving messages from old high school acquaintances, telling me I should have ignored it and not told anyone. They say that since I didn't speak up back then, I lost the right to do so now, and I'm a horrible person for ruining someone's life over something he did 10 years ago when he himself was a child as well. Am I wrong for speaking up? Update 10 days later. First of all, I am immensely thankful to all the people who took the time not only to read through my story but also to comment. I read every single comment and tried to respond to as many as possible. It gave me a little bit of hope for compassion toward victims of grape, and also the courage not to cave to the backlash I received. Reading all the messages defending my choice to speak up made me realize how insecure I was about what I'm allowed to do and how much I was trying to make things right for other people instead of for myself, especially Nico and Angie. All of you are right. If Nico had changed, he would have apologized, reached out, or tried to make amends in some way, either when word got to him from his brother-in-law or at some earlier point in his life. My former best friend Angie should have been able to feel some compassion if she had any respect for me as a human being or for the time we spent together. Her reactions showed me that I shouldn't hesitate in my actions. I started therapy when I was 21 and thought I had moved on from the grape as best as I could, but I realized how ashamed I still am almost 10 years later about an incident that wasn't my fault at all. I was ashamed to speak up back then and afraid that the people around me would look at me differently. Somehow, I still felt bad about speaking up today, so I'm trying to own what happened to me now and not apologize for other people's behavior, especially since they don't even show me respect. Now, onto what happened. I archived every nasty message I received on WhatsApp so I wouldn't have to read them, but I kept them as proof in case I needed them later. Angie's mom called me the day after the incident, crying. I probably shouldn't have answered, but after 10 years of friendship, I saw her as an aunt, almost a second mom. She always joked that while her own children would run around the house doing whatever, I would always take the time to sit with her, have tea, and talk, showing her more love and time than her actual children. While she said she was sorry for what had happened and for what I went through as a child, she couldn't believe I would ruin Angie's happiness over something like that. With Angie's brother refusing to have Nico as part of the family and Angie standing by Nico's side, it's divided their family, and she is heartbroken. She has grown to love Nico like family and has only known him as a considerate young man, someone she believes will make her daughter happy. It wasn't nasty names or angry words, just a heartbroken mother who pretended to acknowledge my pain but ultimately saw the fault in me. Angie's mom tried to get me to apologize or to take it back, but I refused because I don't see the fault in myself. With everything that's happened, I believe Nico hasn't changed and is just hiding it better. He can see how people are standing by him and supporting his behavior, so he feels no need to change. And that's something I didn't want to enable. Angie's mom never once used the word grape, and I tried to correct her every time she spoke about it. I kept trying to name it for her to understand better, but she would just start sobbing more. It didn't make sense for us to continue the conversation. Angie's mom used to stay in contact with mine for some time, and she reached out to her after our talk. I was worried my mom would find out, given her more conservative background. We had a long conversation, and though I haven't seen her in person yet, she apologized for not being there for me or for not making me feel like I could talk to her. I tried to reassure her as best I could, but when she asked if my current partner knows I was used like that, I got angry. She was afraid my partner would leave me if he found out, implying that what happened made me less valuable or appealing. When she asked me to keep it a secret from our family abroad and back home, I hung up. She acted exactly the way I was afraid she would, as if it's something shameful. This was especially difficult because I'm trying my best to move away from the feeling of shame. She has since apologized, but it's clear that her view of me has changed. I'm not sure yet how to deal with that, but it's something to worry about in the coming weeks. As some of you suggested, I wrote to Angie's brother, Sven, again and apologized for the mess. I also said I'm glad it's out in the open and that I'm proud of him for defending his family. I asked if his old email is still working, as I planned to send a gift card. He didn't respond, but I got a message from his wife 2 days ago. She thanked me for speaking up and informing them about Nico. Apparently, there had been a few moments that made her uncomfortable, like some jokes Nico made, and in retrospect, she now understands why. Sven informed her as soon as he got my initial message, and since then, they have both seen Angie but not Nico. She refuses to be in the same room or house as him, and the same goes for their unborn daughter. Sven and Angie's mom have visited their place multiple times, begging them to forgive Nico. Sven has caved a little. Angie and Nico will get married, and Sven will attend, but his wife will not. Nico is allowed in the family but will have no contact with Sven's wife or daughter. These restrictions do not apply to Angie. Sven has been suffering, trying to ease his mother's worries, and is unable to take a stand to cut them out completely. The compromise he made was without his wife's approval, and she told me she's doing her best to cut them out of their lives indefinitely. She also mentioned wanting to move closer to her family and feels this might be the perfect opportunity, though she's unsure if she can follow through. She told me how terribly sorry she is for all the issues that have come my way and admitted it has been a lot for them to handle on their side as well. Sven knows it's not my fault, but he doesn't want contact. It's difficult for him to talk to or see my name because, even though he knows I'm not to blame, he still sees me as the bearer of bad news and the beginning of all this drama. His wife has told me several times that neither of them believes I'm the bad guy, they're just exhausted by everything, and it's been extremely hard on them. That's all that has happened so far. I'm frustrated with how everything turned out. It feels like Nico will just continue with his life without being remorseful. I didn't want him to suffer, but some part of me hoped for at least an apology for all the suffering I went through afterward. Now, I'm dealing with my mother's changed and shameful view of me, and even though I'm glad the truth is out, it's incredibly hard to stand by my choices. My partner and my best friends have been my rock throughout this ordeal. My best friend, in particular, has been enraged on my behalf, and I'm extremely grateful to have both of them by my side. Right now, I'm just emotionally drained, but I'm sure things will get better in a few weeks. Second update 3 months later. My first post was 3 months ago, and this one will be my last update for now. It is not a good one, but I sincerely wish to leave it all behind me, which includes distancing myself from this Reddit account. These posts helped me let go of my anger, similar to a journal, and I am grateful for all the people who were enraged with me. I hope to open it again someday with a final happy update, but for now, every little pop-up is a reminder of the anxiety I am still dealing with, and I do not have the energy to deal with this topic outside of my therapy anymore. I work in a very specialized field. To get the proper qualifications, it takes on average 6 to 8 years, bachelor's, master's, and then the state bar to be allowed to practice. While it is not very competitive, not a lot of people choose this profession, and it is highly sought after. My current company paid for my master's and my extensive course as preparation for the bar exam, and I have been doing well there. My HR department called me 2 months ago. Apparently, they had been getting a lot of outside calls from Angie's mother and other relatives, claiming I am involved in a #MeToo scandal and am a liability for the company because I don't have issues ruining the lives of men. How they could imagine this would change anything, I do not understand. I work for a global company. They have known me for years, I have never had any issues prior, and quite frankly, they do not care. However, they became frustrated with the number of calls and apparently even reached out to the police, and the calls have stopped since. Nonetheless, they reached out to me to check on my mental well-being, offering to give me paid leave until it settles a little bit, and offering company-paid therapy. Therapy is covered by my country's health insurance, but it is tricky to get one without a waiting period. However, I already had my old therapist on retainer and started going right after the incident. They made it clear that they invested a good amount of money in me and do not wish to lose me. I was ashamed that this part of my private life slipped into my professional one. It started to influence the career I worked hard for years to build, and while my company assured me that it would not affect the workload and clients I'm getting, word got around, and it was clear to my colleagues that I am going through something nasty and that the company does not want to deal with it. All this stress and anxiety led me to hyperfocus on my work. I took on whatever I could, paranoid that another call would come and, for whatever reason, the company would move me to a dead-end department where my career would basically be over. At the same time, I started looking into different companies that would be able to buy me out, as I am tied to my current company for 5 years after graduation. 3 more years are left, and I got a management position at a rival company with a huge salary jump. I couldn't feel happy about it, I was just relieved I wouldn't get the pity looks from my colleagues anymore. I went to the police with all the hateful messages and the HR protocol with the call history and got a restraining order against Angie's mom. Should she contact my new company again, I have a public LinkedIn, it is needed for my job. At least I have some sort of proof that her words hold no meaning. I was asked if I wanted to pursue the graped case but decided against it. It would open the whole ordeal again. I don't have proof, besides Nico and Angie not denying it, and quite honestly, I was afraid of what it would do to my career. I kept in contact with a good friend of mine who grew up in the same small town but moved away about 5 years ago. We share a Nintendo Switch online family account, so we tend to be in contact at least once a year for a short phone call when she sends me the money for the subscription. We usually turn it into a call with updates. Yesterday was one of those days, and the whole Nico thing came up. While she didn't hear it directly, her mom is still living in the small town and reached out to her, asking if I'm alright. She expressed her disapproval about how everything came to be. She was close with Angie back in the day and remembered how close we were and how often we spent time together, like sisters. She updated me that, 2 months ago, Sven's baby girl was born. While neither Nico nor Angie were seen in any of the pictures or stories with the baby, a month ago, Angie and Nico had an engagement party. Both Sven, the baby, and his wife participated and are in the family pictures. I remember how enraged Sven's wife was and how she told me she felt uncomfortable with Sven. Now it is all forgotten and forgiven. Nico's parents own a few houses and gifted Angie and Nico a house close to their home, and Sven and his wife apparently bought a house on the same street. It is as if nothing happened at all. Listening to my friend telling me the updates, I'm honestly not sure if I should have asked her not to tell me anything. I just feel empty and betrayed. Not by Angie, she made her choice. Not by Sven, he is her brother, and at the end of the day, when he asked me what happened and then didn't have the decency to answer me because he saw me as the one who ruined his family, it was clear that the truth didn't matter. Not by Sven's wife, who has a baby girl, an innocent daughter whom she should protect as a mother, even though she told me she would do her best to keep her daughter away from Nico, but just by life. I fought to put it all behind me, only to have this old wound ripped open again 3 months ago when Sven kept plastering me. I got hate messages, but knowing that maybe someone would be hesitant towards Nico when he showed strange behavior made me feel like maybe I did something right. Maybe by speaking up, I helped a girl avoid being graped. My own mother was ashamed of what happened to me and told me to keep it quiet so my family abroad wouldn't hear about it. Just for it all to be fine again for Nico. After everything that happened these last 3 months, I truly understand why victims of rape choose not to speak up.